talk like I'm trained for this, which I'm not. But a Chamber of Commerce is an association or network of people, business people, designed to promote and protect the interests of its members. A Chamber of Commerce is often made up of a group of business owners that share an interest in the community. And the Chamber of Commerce represents the voice of business in their community. So welcome.
So let's get started, and I would like to introduce some of our board members. Here tonight we have Karen Quigley, who is the owner of Saltastic. Can you please stand, Karen? She volunteers a lot of her time for us as the chair of the Chamber. We also have in-house tonight Scott from Gravitate Travel and Andre Rancourt. He is with the Friends of the Ferguson Forestry. Next, we have Lisa Hale. She's the owner of Compass Accounting, and she's a director as well, along with our vice chair, Alan McAvoy. Both of those two people are unfortunately not able to be here tonight. And I would like to recognize our executive director, Terry Lynn McAvoy. She is the face really behind the chamber. So thank you. There, she's grabbing a seat. And I truly know she hates to be the center of attention, but I do want to just say thank you so much. You guide us board members everywhere we go. So I am Tina Murray. I am the treasurer of the North Grenville Chamber, along with I own a business here in town, Dominion Lending Center's mortgage brokerage, and my wonderful co-host, Will Pearl. He is from Stevens Creek Decor Center, and so we make up your local board of directors for the North Grenville Chamber of Commerce.
We want to share a little bit with you tonight about how the Chamber has benefited enormously from a grant that was provided to us by the municipality. The grants allowed the Chamber to have a full-time and one part-time staff member in the office instead of just having a single part-time person that we had previous to the grant. This investment by the municipality has ended up essentially tripling our ability to support the business community locally, as well as the funding gave the Chamber the manpower to host and participate directly in more events, add more opportunities for us to collaborate with other organizations in the community through sponsorships and support, and also encouraged some former members that maybe lapsed throughout COVID. Like a lot of organizations, we took a hit through the COVID years, and this support's allowed us to come back strong and regain our membership to the level that it was previous. Also, yes, that is a, yeah. Also with the boost in funding and the ability to have full-time staff, we're able to pursue some grants. One of the grants that was successfully pursued was a funding grant of $79,000 from the Southeastern Ontario Regional Tourism Organization, which has an acronym because it's government, RTO9. And as part of the Government of Canada's Tourism Relief Fund, that's delivered by the Federal Economic Development Agency for Southern Ontario, which is acronym FedDev. So RTO9 was pleased to provide almost $5 million in FedDev funding to help 81 different local tourism organizations and businesses. And because we had the resources, we were able to get some of that money for our local community.
Yeah. So we are so excited about what we were able to do with that money. We were able to purchase 4 metal benches, 4 bike repair kits, 4 bike racks, and an information kiosk. And so those will be popping up in different locations in the North Grenville area over the next little while. We are like really excited about that. There's several full kits, there's a couple of full kits going out, and then we're taking 1 kit and dividing it out into different places in the community. So that's really exciting. The other thing we were able to do was we collaborated with the library, and we purchased these inspirational benches. So if you've noticed, if you're out and about at the Busker Fest this weekend, right in front of the library, we have already installed those 2 benches. And they are beautiful. Like they're like a book. It opens up like a book, and it's so beautiful. So these creatively themed books have a saying on them, and again, we collaborated with the library to have those installed and have everything put on there, and the town installed them for us last week. So By capturing this grant money with our additional resources, we are also proud to have the ability to build attractions that both benefit residents, visitors, and ultimately the businesses in our community. We have been hard at work ensuring that we have gathered and implemented the right content and the most up-to-date data for our members to successfully run their businesses. We have offered mentoring and assisted new businesses in planning and development. We've been able to reach more businesses and provide resources and support for startups, such as workshops, mentorship programs, and information about funding opportunities, which, if you're a small business, invaluable to have those. So this is why the continued funding from the municipality will be imperative for the Chamber to continue to operate. We have provided over 30 newsletters to our members, sharing their successes and tips and giving them opportunities to advertise at no cost to ensure that they had our support.
It's important to note tonight that the North Grenville Chamber of Commerce is committed to supporting businesses throughout the community. So there's Kemptville, and then there's the wider community with all the hamlets like Oxford Mills and so on. So we want to just reiterate tonight that the Chamber's footprint is the same as that of the municipality of North Grenville's, which means that our events, initiatives are inclusive of businesses across the community. We believe that all businesses, regardless of their size or location, should have access to the same level of support and services, and that's why we strive to provide equal opportunities for all our members throughout the municipality. Our motto is to build a vibrant and prosperous business community through advice, education, advocacy, and collaboration. Our vision aligns well with that of the municipality, which is focused on promoting economic development, fostering a strong sense of community, and creating a high quality of life for residents. By working together with the municipality and other community partners, we can help create a vibrant and thriving business community throughout North Grenville.
We're also excited to say that we have hosted several After 5 events, live After 5 events at Chamber businesses, and most recently this winter we hosted our first business expo that was held here in the Municipal Centre. We had a sold-out crowd a week or two ago at the Enduring Heart Bed and Breakfast. That was really good, and we have many more planned. And next week, if you don't have anything going on next Wednesday night, our own Will Pearl and his business is going to be hosting a collaborative event, actually, with another networking and business support organization called Ontario Approved, and they are here in the room tonight. So between Ontario Approved and the North Grenville Chamber, will be hosting an event at his new decor center, if you haven't been already. So please reach out to the Chamber if you would like to attend that. These events give us the opportunity to spotlight local entrepreneurs and give them a chance to tap into the Chamber network for business opportunities, publicity, and support. On a financial note, membership revenues so far for 2023 are up by 20%, and the number of members are up by 30%. So that is all in due part to Terry Lynn, who is no longer sitting there. So thank you again, Terry Lynn.
Like any organization, we've got goals for 2023 and beyond. We want to become the information hub for potential new business owners who want to come to North Grenville and do business. We've taken many steps in that journey, but the ability to extend a warm welcome and guide them through the next steps in their business journey is an important one. For example, having our presence here at the municipality office when people come in to learn a little bit more about what's going on in North Grenville, that we're right there to greet them, and having information available about rental spaces that are connections to folks within the municipality that people should be speaking to. Tourism opportunities, all of those things are important for the Chamber to be a hub of information. We look forward to the continued support of the municipality and residents of North Grenville at our events. Like and follow our Facebook page, and you'll get more information as we go so that you're in the loop about events that are coming up, as well as we look forward to the future and continuing to provide for this incredibly vibrant municipality.
All right, now we get to have a little bit of fun. So we are going to introduce 3 fairly new businesses in our community, and they're also members of the Chamber. So we are going to introduce them now and give them an opportunity to come up and speak for 5 minutes or less, for those that like to talk. Tanya, Anyway, over to you, Will.
All right. The first up, and we'd ask you to come up, is Enduring Heart Bed and Breakfast. If you can come to the podium for your opportunity to introduce yourselves. This is Sandy and Doug Weimer. Weimer. We practiced the wrong pronunciation. Sorry, Sandy and Doug. I have to just, from personal experience, from going to visit them at their Alive After 5 event, the treats, the little nibbles, amazing. Way to motivate Will to show up at an event. Treats, beautiful.
And honest to goodness, if you have not been there, you need to go. It is mind-blowing, incredible what you've done with that place.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you so much to the Chamber for the opportunity for Sandy and I to be here. I'm Doug Weimer. This is my wife, Sandy. Maybe a little bit of background about us. So Sandy comes from probably, the last 20 plus years in the hospitality and food services industry. My background is largely in information technology, but in today's day of small businesses and social media and online presence, and everything else, payment gateways, all of those kinds of things, any business needs to have a fairly strong background in information technology as well. A little bit of background, kind of our, let's say, our desire to open a bed and breakfast. We've really been looking at this for probably about the last 20 years. And part of that comes from in and around the 2005 timeframe. Just various things that were going on in life and realizing that life is sometimes hard and we go through stresses and everyone needs a place of rest and refreshment. And so really we hope that Enduring Heart Bed and Breakfast will become exactly that, a kind of an oasis for rest and refreshment for people that would come. So in 2018 we decided, well, if we don't do it now, we're not getting any younger. Let's take the plunge and look for just the right property. And so we started looking quite widely across the region, including North Grenville and Merrickville and other areas. And one of the main criteria was to find just the right place that had the character we were looking for, and that it was a property that we thought we could relatively easily renovate to make sure that every room
Not so easy.
yeah, to make sure that every room would have its own ensuite bathroom. Now, we went through those renovations through COVID, and so as many of you might be able to appreciate, going through COVID, the renovations weren't as easy as we had hoped originally. But we found just the right place in Oxford Mills, so we're located just at the outskirts of Oxford Mills on the corner of County Road 18 and Guy Road. And the place really, as we found the place, found the site, and then looked at all that North Grenville has to offer, we really got excited. I mean, you look around, you look at some of the posters that are around the room, the poster that was at the entrance coming in. There's just so much from a tourism perspective that North Grenville has to offer. There's the trails, there's just lots of opportunities, there's the access to the Rideau Waterway, and really from a location perspective, the proximity to Ottawa, with the proximity also, say, to the Thousand Islands, Brockville, and other places, all the festivals that are in the local area, it really is, from what we thought, an ideal place. And so then we took the plunge, we bought the property, started the renovations, but then we had even more enthusiasm after the welcome that we received from the local community, and also learning all that the municipality and the Chamber are doing to build up and help small businesses. So just a few, let's say, thank yous going out in terms of the municipality, everything that's being done from the economic and tourism specific development that's taking place, the support that we get from the tourism coordinator directly. Thank you very much, because that's been very much appreciated to make connections, identify opportunities, and so forth. Help from the Digital Service Squad, and so we've been in contact with them. They're helping us directly, and so if you're not aware of the Digital Service Squad, please have a look and check that out. stuff like the brochure swap, and then, quite frankly, through all that process of going through all those renovations, the municipality has been really great in terms of dealing with permits and inspections and everything else. So it's actually been a very positive experience as far as all of that goes.
Coming
So
from Ottawa area, it's much easier here. Just-
Yes.
So thank you.
And then the chamber itself as well, you know, shout out to them. Fantastic opportunities for interbusiness networking events, the Alive After 5, access to contacts, business contacts and so forth. The organization of the Business Expo, pointers to the Leeds and Grenville Small Business Center. There's just lots that the chamber provides, and when you see the way the chamber is working together with the municipality, quite frankly, it's really very much evident, the cooperation, and it's very much appreciated. As well, in case you're not aware, as you know, small business owners or business owners in the area, the Grenville Community Futures Development Corporation and the loans program that they have as well, that's extremely helpful in the area for small businesses as well. And I guess for us, the main message, a couple of main messages. Number one, we're super excited to be in the community, and we would love, you know, anyone who wants to come and have a tour, let us know, and we'll gladly do a tour of the renovations that we've done to the property to be able to provide a welcoming, restful, and refreshing place for people to come and just get away from the stresses of life. We're not just an overnight stay. We have things like hot tub, the pool, fire pit, that we really can be a destination as well.
5.5 acres.
Yeah, and we're on 5.5 acres as well, and so there's lots of space to be able to enjoy. So that's one message, and the other message is that North Grenville really has a lot to offer, and get involved. One of the things about the chamber in particular that has been so great is that they have so many events and so many opportunities they're providing, but you really have to get involved and you really have to participate. And so take the time to join into events, maybe even sponsor or host some events, and yeah, I think that's pretty much
A
it.
lot of people.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sandy and Doug. Next up, we're going to hear from Chris Lang from Sports Clips. Did I say it correctly, Chris? Excellent. Sport Clips. Got it.
And you went out to their place and enjoyed it, but I haven't seen you in the sport clubs yet.
I'm lacking one of the requirements, but I will.
Me as well. Me as well. Mayor Peckford, members of Town Council, members of the Chamber of Commerce, fellow guests, would like to thank Terry Lynn for inviting me to speak to you tonight and introduce myself, my business partner Chris, and our new business in town called Sport Clips. My name is Chris Lang. I'm a farm boy from Beach Road in Oxford Mills. I grew up milking cows and shoveling you-know-what at Eastern Breeders, and graduated from North Grenville District High School back in the days of grade 13, 1989. At that time, the population sign coming into Campville read 2,400. Times have changed. At that point, I felt I was a 19-year-old stuck in a hick town, and I was very, very excited to move on to my future challenges in Toronto, and was accepted to study physical therapy at the University of Toronto. Small town boy in a big city. Many of my new friends from the big city found it quite hilarious to watch me walk up and down the busy city streets and wave at every car that honked its horn. Thought they were interested in me. So yeah, that brought us to Toronto. Graduated in '94 from U of T. Married my beautiful wife, Julie, who was there at pharmacy school. Worked for 5 years in Toronto, so that's a total of 9. Hicktown didn't seem so bad. So in 1998, Julie and I decided to move back here to raise our family, and we settled in Osgood. A great spot very close to family and friends back here at home and very close to our careers in the city. 28 years later, 30 physio clinics later that I was involved with, and it was time to close that chapter. What to do next? Pandemic. This clown comes back to Brockville. Chris and Amy were good friends of ours from U of T. I hope we're still friends, Chris. And they came back with an idea, moving back from Florida to Brockville, and Chris had been a customer, you and I were not, of Sport Clips, and had a great idea of bringing a very successful franchise model from the United States, where they have 1,900 stores, bringing it to Canada. So in Canada, we became the 40th store when we decided to open, and after several discussions, dinners and everything that comes with dinner, we signed a partnership agreement and decided we would open 3 stores. Where would store number 1 be for us? Chris from Brockville, myself from Campville, now living in Osgood. Campville seemed like the perfect answer. Campville being a growing community, close for the two of us, me really wanting to get back involved in my hometown, really became the spot that we thought we would get involved with. At the time, also, friends had reached out to me from this community and wanted me to give back as well, and got me involved with the Campville Hospital Foundation, and I've now become a member of the board of directors at the Hospital Foundation. So note to everybody, Christy and I are coming fundraising as we attempt to get a CT scanner for the local hospital. Sport Clips. What intrigued us about Sport Clips was essentially their motto. And their motto is, their mission statement is to create a championship haircut experience in an exciting sport environment. So our store, for those of you that haven't seen it, is set up as if it's a hockey or a sporting dressing room. There's a TV set between every pair of barber chairs, so clients can come in, father, son, 2 buddies, pop down in chairs beside each other, watch the sport highlights, and just have a laid-back experience. We also have our signature service, which is called the MVP experience, and that is where you're invited into the back room. We call it the showers. I'm still not convinced that that's the right name for it, but that's the model. But it's a hot towel applied to the face, a steam towel. It's a scalp shampoo with a tea tree shampoo, with a scalp massage, followed by a shoulder massage on the back of the shoulders through your clothes at the seat, and then a recheck from the stylist. So that's the signature. It gives a chance for the guys to be spoiled a little bit. Yes, women and ladies are also invited to join, and many of them do. We don't have any chemicals or coloring, but certainly we are getting lots of women in regularly for haircuts that enjoy the experience as well. The values of Sports Clips also stood out to us as we attempted to build our store culture. Those values are do what's right, do your best, and treat others as they want to be treated. So those are the values that really hit Chris and I. That's what we wanted to produce in our store, and that's the culture we're trying to build for our team and our clients. As we started out into this business, it was during COVID, and as our friends elaborated too, it's quite a time to start a new business. And between the hiccups of construction delays, labor force issues, everything just was slowed down, and we were probably close to a year delayed before we opened our business. Fortunately, during that time, we met Terry Lynn and learned a lot about the Chamber of Commerce. We quickly signed up to become members, and the networking that Terry Lynn set up for us to help us along with the business development was essential. Once things finally did get rolling in July of 2022, rather than September of 2021, we participated in the recent business exposition that was held by the Chamber of Commerce, and the networking there was fantastic for us, and we saw an immediate dividend on our increased client count. So that was a great a great thing for us, and we're hoping to participate in many more similar events. In closing, I'd just like to say we're very excited about our business, and we continue to grow here in Kemptville. We are now planning our one-year anniversary, which will be the first week of July. We're hoping to see many of you come out to the store to see the business, bring your family and friends. We'll have different things going on through the week, and we hope to see many of you there. And also with the Chamber, we're looking forward to meeting many new members and current members that we haven't met yet, and collaborating with you as we work together for future success for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
One question, Chris, do you do beards?
Hey, yes, Krista.
Awesome. No, I don't. I will be in. I've been told tonight that I may need a trim, so. Greg Lane, by the way. I'd like to invite up next our friends from Kemptville Painting. Tanya will be doing the talking, I assume, but her husband, Cody Boudreau, is also here, who's a partner in the business. Husband and wife team.
5 minutes.
I only have 5 minutes, so I'll try to cut it short. I guess there's a lot of people here who don't know me. I haven't been here long. My name is Tanya, and along with Cody, I am the owner-operator of Kemptville Painting. We have quite the story on how we got here to Kemptville. It wasn't, we haven't been here for long. We haven't grown up here like a lot of the people here. We chose Kemptville. We moved from Toronto, where I've been painting my whole life, and Cody had been painting, and we kind of met on site, and from there it kind of went down. We have been painting for 15 years now. So when we moved here to Kemptville, I had one friend. Her name was Krista. She advised me that if I were to open a business here, it should have the name in it, because I'm all in. I'm here to stay, and so we chose Kemptville Painting as the name of our business. COVID kind of happened after we moved here. We moved November 2019, and so shortly after that, COVID happened. And I mean, starting a business then, it wasn't really in the books. It was, everyone was struggling, and we just felt like being in people's homes really wasn't, it really wasn't gonna work at that time. So we kind of sat on it. Cody was working on the other side of the province, and I was kind of home waiting for COVID to end. And Herb had started, one of you know Herb Coultier, he started the rink there in Curry Park. And I went down there, and it was just, the community was amazing. Everybody was out to skate, they were all happy, smiling, enjoying to be there, and it didn't feel like COVID. It didn't feel like we were involved in something that no one wanted to be a part of. And so I met another gentleman there that night, and I had said to him, you know, I have these dreams. I really want to open a company here in Kemptville, and this is why we moved here. And he said, you know, you really should go for it. So I thought about it, and I sat on it for the night, and I thought, okay, let's get involved in the community first. So I started a program. It's called Kemptville Donate to Skate. I go down to the rink every year, and we offer free skates for the community, for people who need it, or just don't want to purchase skates for their whole family. Maybe they go once a year. So you can come down to the rink, and you can enjoy the skates. So after I started Kemptville Donate to Skate, I thought, well, all these people, you know, these amazing companies, they're donating to my cause. And I had this huge billboard where I had drawn all of their logos on it. And I thought, where's my logo? I don't have anything here to say that I'm part of this community and I'm part of this, you know, this event. So that night, I went home and I opened Kemptville Painting. I bought all the domains, every one of them, kemptvillepainting.com, kemptvillepainting.org, kemptvillepainting.ca. Every single one that you could buy, I bought that night. I bought the master license, and I was all in. So I went to the rink the next weekend, and I said, I got this business, and I really want to, you know, do what I can with it. So I joined a group, the NGBB, the North Grenville Business Builders, and I met Karen. She is a part of the chamber. I had never heard of the chamber or looked into it. I hadn't done my research because my business was very new. And she had said to me, you know, you can join the chamber, and they offer a lot of programs and a lot of, you know, things to help you get started to where you want to be in your business. So I said, okay, and I signed up for the starter program, and I was accepted. So now I'm running this brand new business, and I'm doing this program, and it's really hard. There's like a lot of stuff going on, you know, you got COVID, and I got this program, this new business, and it just all worked out, you know, and now I'm here, and I'm so grateful to be here, to be a part of the community, to be a part of all of these amazing people who take the time to even come out here tonight, you know, for our mayor, and to address our community, and to really understand what impacts our life. You know, here in Kemptville, we're a small-knit community, and we need to rely on one another, and small businesses are what our whole community is based on. So, you know, if you don't support us, then you don't support your community and your chamber and everybody that comes together to really help one another. So I'm very grateful, I'm very thankful, and I'm happy to see and meet all of you tonight. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Wow, that was amazing, Tanya. What a great segue. Woohoo! I was counting. I was going to cut you off. Anyway, so thank you to all of those people that just spoke, and we are so appreciative of you being willing to speak in front of a large crowd. It's not everyone's cup of tea, so we do appreciate it, and congratulations and welcome to the community and to the chamber. So the next thing we get to do, the segue, is into our wonderful mayor. For those of you who don't know much about her, Ms. Peckford is originally from Newfoundland and Labrador, going next year. Yeah! So excited. Anyway, she comes from a long history and background into politics. Her uncle, if you didn't know this, was the Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador in the 1980s. In her 20s, Nancy moved to Ottawa to serve as a parliamentary intern on Parliament Hill, where she worked across all party lines. She went on to lead a multi-partisan organization that encouraged and supported more youth and women to jump into the ring of politics.
Nancy and her family moved to North Grenville in just 2011. So it's been a big impact in a short time, in my opinion. In 2018, she decided to run for mayor and was a force for change within the local political landscape. Nancy was re-elected as mayor in 2022 and is also serving as the warden for the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville. She continues to work hard for the community. Welcome, Mayor Nancy.
Can I go there first? Okay. I'll go there and then come over here. Is that okay? I'm not abandoning you. Okay.
You are the first female warden. Is that right?
No, I believe I am the, I want to say maybe the third female warden, but I am the first female warden under the age of 55. So and I love chatting with Tina and Will, but I did have some more structured comments, and I thought it might be easier to do it from the podium, and then, of course, I'll come over for the Q&A, and we'll have lots of fun. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here and supporting an event that I think this is our third time, that we've done this. The first year was virtual, right in the thick of the pandemic. Last year we did a bit of a hybrid, and this year we went full bore on trying to get as many of you here as possible. But of course, it is being live streamed, and that is awesome. So this will live on forever. So if I say something untoward, it'll be captured in the history books. You know, there are days where I can't tell if I'm mayor mom or mom mayor. As many of you know, I have 3 school-age kids. I have one 11-year-old goalie son who wants to go to a sports club so bad, by the way. I've been promising for months. And so he's been asking, Mom, can I please just go to sports clips? And we've been so busy with hockey, it's been tough, but I'm going to get him there. I have another daughter who's enjoying football, flag football, and she's out on the field right now practicing for their first game. The Kemptville Football League reinvigorated itself this spring. Again, through the absolute leadership and commitment of dedicated volunteers and parents, one of whom was a figure skater, the other of whom was a hockey player. Their son said, I don't want hockey or figure skating, I want football, and they're all in. And we've got over 100 kids playing football, girls and boys in Kemptville. And then my oldest is celebrating her 15th birthday today. And of course, the machinations to get a date for this event meant we're deferring her celebration until Sunday. But, you know, it was really my kids that brought me to Kemptville, William in particular, as some of you might know. I had 2 small children with my spouse in Ottawa, and we were expecting our 3rd, and as some of you have heard, my children's great-grandmother was born and raised on Bedell Road. My spouse had a very deep attachment to rural Eastern Ontario, and he said, let's get out of town, and truly the rest is history. But I often say to William, my youngest, without him emerging, coming onto the scene, I don't know if North Grenville would have been part of, you know, certainly our legacy, our story. And, you know, being able to raise children here has been a fantastic experience. I don't think I can overestimate or overemphasize how meaningful it has been to raise kids in a small town, much like what I was raised in small town Newfoundland, except we moved around more. So we were in Labrador, we were on the island, and some of the opportunities my kids have now through hockey and various sports I didn't have. So I'm really grateful every day for the incredible caring and the commitment and the energy and the vitality of this place, and it certainly has given me a lot of motivation to serve you since 2018. So quickly, just before getting into the crux of it, I want to recognize Deputy Mayor who is here, John Barclay. There you are, thank you. As you know, John is a returning member of council and succeeds Deputy Mayor Jim McManaman, who was my partner in crime for the first term, but Deputy Mayor John Barclay is doing a fine job. I should tell you that, as I think you know, this council is so engaged. Councillor Sullivan is at the hospital board tonight. Councillor Strachan is chair of the Rideau Valley Conservation Authority and is chairing a meeting tonight, and Councillor Deb Wilson is at a hockey tournament for the 60-plus women of Eastern Ontario, so she's in Belleville. So John and I are holding down the fort. I'd also just like to very quickly recognize municipal staff. Most of our senior management team is here. We have our acting CEO, Karen Dunlop. We have Chief, thank you, Karen. Karen's been acting for a number of months now, and we're deeply appreciative. It was somewhat unexpected, but we thank her for her service. We have Chief John Oakham, Director of Planning Amy Martin, Keena Boyce, Director of Client Services, Director of Parks and Rec Mark Guy. We have Director of Corporate Services, Hilary Janot. We have our Tourism Coordinator, Heather Curry. I think Phil Mosher is here. Phil, are you in the room? Oh. And there he is in the back. He's just recently rejoined the municipality as Deputy Director of Planning. And last but not least, we have, oh, Matt. Where are you, Matt? You're hiding on me. Matt does this. He hides. We have Matt Gilmer, who, of course, is a linchpin between the municipality and the business community. And we're also joined by Bruce Onlow, who has recently left the business community and is serving as my EA and supporting council. And we have a very dynamic comms team that are spread out. Jill Sturdy. We have Julie DeBeer. Is it DeBeer, Julie? I've known you for so long. DeBoer. As well as I think Carolyn Lundy isn't here, but is certainly part of the team. Have I missed anyone? Have I done my duty there? Okay, awesome. You know, really tonight, in about 15 minutes, I wanted to paint a picture of how we're thinking about economic development in North Grenville. And to be honest, I don't know if we've told the story in the way I'm about to tell it. I think many of you have threads of the story. Some of you have lived the story in many different ways. But I think, you know, in my second term, I've been giving a lot of thought to growth. and what kind of growth do we have in North Grenville? And I can tell you, as warden of the United Counties, where I represent and work with 9 other municipalities, some of whom are growing quite slowly or not at all, that certainly growth is often very welcome, and we are often seen here in North Grenville as the envy of the region because of the growth we're experiencing. And certainly we know with that growth comes tremendous opportunity. But like, I think, and similar to some of my comments last year, Will and Tina, we also recognize that growth can be fraught, and that as a community, we have to be incredibly deliberate about what kind of growth are we navigating? And as a council, and certainly John Barclay, our deputy mayor, and others on council will tell you, when we got elected, I think we didn't fully appreciate some of the complexities of the growth, how much control or lack thereof sometimes you have when growth comes your way, and what are the opportunities you have to steer it in the right direction. So what we know is, we have the saying in North Grenville, it's a great place to live, work, and play. And I think we can all agree in many respects that we're nailing the living part, let's say. I think, we're not doing badly on that front. This year, North Grenville celebrates 25 years since amalgamation. Just a sneak peek. We are going to rotate council meetings in June and July around the various hamlets. So as a way to recognize the incredibly rich and deep and varied history, much of which was driven by our hamlets and townships outside of the town of Kemptville, we have an exciting plan to rotate our council meetings, these are real council meetings, to Oxford Mills, Bishop's Mills, South Gore, and Burt's Rapids. So stay tuned. Those meetings will be live streamed, so you can access them like you would any other meeting. But it's a way, I think, for council and our community to pay respect to a very, very deep history that we all share. Some of us know it better than others. When I moved to Old Town Kemptville when we came here many years ago, I wasn't actually aware. It took me a while. I had to stumble my way through various hamlets and to really take in all of the history that is here. So in having a 25th anniversary, naturally, you reflect on what's come with that. And, certainly what we've seen since amalgamation is a tremendous amount of growth, residential growth, urban and rural subdivisions in particular, among other growth, whether it's urban intensification or people buying rural properties and really coveting and cherishing those and wanting to invite their friends and colleagues to come and enjoy what is a fantastic quality of life in Eastern Ontario. But what we know about this growth, and Jim Beveridge, who I believe is here tonight, and I've had a number of chats about this, is that in the early 1990s, as I think many of you will remember, the town of Kemptville found itself in a very difficult position with a wastewater and sewage treatment plant that was at the brink of capacity, of its quality of functioning, and they had to make a bold and quick decision. And some of you may recall being engaged or opposing or encouraging the decision to build a new and larger wastewater and sewage treatment plant. At the time, as I have been told, it was controversial, it was expensive, and it was 100% necessary. The town of Kemptville needed a new plant. And in the early 90s, there was only one way to go about it, and that was through something called frontage charges. The reason I'm telling you about this is that that plant forged North Grenville's future for the next 25 years. I've had neighboring councillors come to me and say, we were shocked that the town of Kemptville grew as it did, but it did because of capacity. We created serviced land capacity through a historic investment in a water treatment and sewage plant that enabled some of the growth that we've seen today. So what we know now is that we're one of the fastest growing municipalities in Eastern Ontario, not the fastest, but certainly over the next 5 years alone, it is anticipated that we will welcome upwards of 1,000 residential units. That's a lot of units. We're 18,000 people, so you bring in 1,000 people, it's a lot, and we have to get prepared. And part of what we've been doing as a council and as a senior staff team is getting ready for some of that growth. But that brings me to another point, and I want to thank some of you in the room who've come and talked to me in the mayor's office and spitballed and given me some feedback and council some feedback on where we may not be seizing opportunity. Because when you're hit with so much residential growth, you can kind of get overwhelmed and consumed by that growth alone. And what we knew as a council in 2018, and I think we continue to be quite committed, is that we need to ensure we get the play part right. So it's live, work, and play. And I think certainly with the development of our community strategic plan just over a year ago, where 2,000 residents either participated in a survey or a focus group or came out to a virtual or in-town meeting, we understood that quality of life was vitally important to you, as it should be. Because if we are going to grow, we should not forfeit our quality of life. And I think there's a risk of doing that. And some of you who've been here for many generations, I think, understand some of the risks of growth. Charming small towns have, I think, an aura to them, an ambience, a connectivity that can get lost with growth. So what we've done, as I think some of you know, and I'm not going to belabor it here, is we have made, decisions that weren't easy, one of which was the revitalization of Riverside Park. It was a decision we made back in July after many, many years of discussion and master planning with Parks and Rec. We decided, no, it's time. It's time to put modern amenities in our signature Central Park. They will include, as some of you know, a splash pad, a rebuilt pool house. The original pool house from 50 years ago was still standing but needed some work, and we'll have a refrigerated ice rink, quite necessary in this day of climate change. And that park is intended to draw people from all across North Grenville. But more to the point, we also want to ensure that there's sufficient traffic coming to our downtown core, and that we have a multi-season park that is fully functional for all ages and stages of life. So those things, I think, matter. As you know, we have 3 publicly managed forests in North Grenville. I've often said we're flanked to the south by Limerick, the north by Ferguson Forest, and right in the middle we have the Kemptville campus. We have some great board members and staff from Kemptville campus here tonight. And I don't know if you can appreciate, we have 16,000 acres of combined woodland alone. That's Ferguson and Limerick. And then you throw in 626 acres at Kemptville campus. I mean, truly extraordinary. And these are all publicly managed and protected lands. So, a blessing. We are blessed. We are also, in the last year, actively pursuing our waterfront strategy. We're putting in some docks. We're looking at how to better connect people to the south branch of the Rideau River, also known as the Kemptville Creek, because we understand, for many decades, people went to Merrickville, they went to Perth. The 43 was a bit of a conduit for tourists going somewhere else, and quite frankly, no more. We have a compelling and charming rural urban region and municipality that needs to be celebrated. And that's why we have some of the signature events that you've seen lately, the most recent of which was Busker Fest. And Busker Fest was in its 2nd year. And I, unfortunately, of course, given my hockey mom life, was at a hockey tournament with my son in Laval, Quebec, but I was getting minute-by-minute reports, and I understand 1,100 people came out in the rain. 1,100, that's pretty good. And I think what it goes to show is there's a huge appetite in this community to connect, and there's a lot of people outside of North Grenville that want to connect into our community. And some of the signature events that we're hosting and some of the activities we have, such as like disc golf, which is anew, and we have this like amazing course that's on the provincial map. And these things are, you know, wonderful ways to introduce and reintroduce North Grenville to Eastern Ontario. I wouldn't be able to get through the speech without also talking about the International Plowing Match, a historic event, and the first time North Grenville, despite, you know, our history as being an agricultural hub and with the Kemptville College being where it is, we had never had that opportunity. And the International Plowing Match, with its 1,000 volunteers and many, many events in the lead up, was truly an extraordinary accomplishment for this community. We were the first IPM coming out of COVID, and you know, many of you in this room were involved, and I can't, I think, express enough gratitude for your commitment and passion and enthusiasm to see that event on the lands of Kemptville campus. The campus board and Dermot O'Farrell and his team were quite involved in making sure it all went smoothly, because it was on campus land for the most part. The Bennett family were also extremely good partners for that event, but certainly it was another way to signal to neighboring communities in Eastern Ontario that just because the campus or the college closed, agriculture has not gone away. Agriculture is a big deal, and it's a big deal in this community, and it's a big deal in this region. And we knew that by hosting the International Plowing Match, we were giving people the opportunity to see the campus and to understand how committed we are to agriculture. There's many other events I could talk about, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to take us near the end. So I think the other thing that matters a lot in North Grenville is that we take care of each other. And, you know, again, you know, I saw Rick from the North Grenville Seniors Center coming in, and he said, please mention our seniors transit program. It's a transportation service largely fueled by volunteer labor, where volunteers, you know, offer to drive individuals to medical appointments, often from out of town. And I can't remember it's thousands and thousands of rides that are offered by, I think, just under 200 volunteers, Rick. It's extraordinary, and what a program, and it's growing. And these guys came to us during the budget season and said, you know, we have enough volunteers, we just need someone to coordinate them. We just don't have the funding for the coordination of all of the seniors who need the rides and all of these volunteers who are willing to serve. So for $15,000, we made that contribution to the Seniors Center on top of an existing grant that they get. And they will be able to increase their capacity because the volunteers are there and the need is there, but they needed the support connecting everyone. And, you know, it's just one example of, you know, how much this community does for each other. And, you know, coming from Newfoundland and Labrador as I have, you know, I haven't really experienced another community outside of Newfoundland and Labrador that has so much heart and so much commitment to each other. And it's just, I think as Council, we're just so honored to be able to say yes. Yes? Okay, yes, you got that. Go for it. We think of, you know, the Winter Festival, the Kemptville Creek, the Youth Center, Beth Donovan, the food banks, both House of Lazarus and the Salvation Army. And of course, we also have, this challenge of getting a CT scanner, right, into the Kemptville District Hospital. Thank you for mentioning it, as you did, gentlemen from Sports Clips. It's a big challenge. It's a big challenge. It's a $4 million ask. The ministry doesn't provide funding for diagnostic equipment, so the bricks and mortar and the equipment itself has to be fundraised from the community. So thankfully, we, with the support of Minister Clark and the Kemptville District Hospital, were able, after 3 tries at the counties, to get a $1 million commitment over 10 years towards the CT scanner, and we matched that, obviously, at the municipality, and that's 50%, which is great. But we need the other 50%. So there's lots of work to do. But you talk to the Kemptville District Hospital Foundation, and you talk to many of the volunteers, and it's amazing. $2 million isn't, you can say it's a lot of money or it's a little bit of money, but this community is just so wholly committed. And it's Paramedics Week, and wearing my warden hat at the United Counties, we employ these amazing paramedics, often of whom are getting pulled into Ottawa and pulled into Kingston, and they're even being pulled out of our service area. And the level of dedication they've had during the pandemic, it's mind-blowing. Any healthcare professional, of course, has had to demonstrate that. But our paramedic service said to us, if we can get a CT scanner at the Kemptville District Hospital, we'll have less out of district transfers because we can do the diagnostics here. When we talk to family physicians, Hilary Janot helped pull together some medical students last night who are here in Kemptville this week, just practicing and getting to know a rural community. And they talk about that diagnostic equipment as being one of the things they'd like to see if they're going to practice rural medicine. So, these little things make all of the difference, I think, in the big picture. And, we have a very promising future. So to truly finish, Tina and Will, I'm going to conclude with this. Some of you here have been on our Community and Economic Development Advisory Committee. You know the many conversations we had with planning staff on how are we growing, why are we growing, what do we want to look like in 25 years, and how can we foster responsible growth, and not just residential growth. So I'm going to end with this. Council, alongside our CDAC committee, greenlit the development of an economic development strategy. Believe it or not, it's the first economic development strategy in North Grenville's history. We haven't had one because residential growth has come to us. In some respects, it's fallen in our laps. We've had serviced land to some extent with the support of our wastewater and sewage treatment facility, but we haven't, as a council, and I think as a community, really wrestled to the ground, how do we balance residential growth with commercial, with other industrial growth? We know we have some incredible businesses in this community that have served North Grenville in an extraordinary way and have been stellars and foundational, and I know some of you will be recognized shortly. And we know that growth is good, but we also know that what this community needs is a lot more local employment opportunities that are meaningful and well paid, that really build on some of the leadership provided by businesses in this room. So as a consequence, we'll be releasing our economic development strategy very shortly. And I just want to give you a sneak peek of what I think the 7 pillars may be. These may change. The strategy is going to come to council. We're going to do lots of conversation around it. Matt's heard a lot from the business community already. But here's what I think the 7 steps may be. So first of all, just to remind you, we have an imminent bridge and road expansion on County Road 43. Many of you have been seeing a little bit of activity, wondering what's happening. It's coming. But I will warn you that the tender for that project is just about to go out from counties. This is a county project. And given all of the inflationary pressures, we know that is going to be a very, very expensive project. And I will need the full support of the county council table to launch that project. As I said last year, as some of you know, we have a bridge as part of the County Road 43 expansion that was not initially anticipated, and that bridge added a minimum of $10 million to the project, and likely it will be more than that. So I look forward to bringing good news. There's been a lot of land acquisitions. Some of you may be aware of it. Some of you may have been involved in it, because we are obviously doubling a road and we are rebuilding a bridge to be a 4-lane bridge. So Engineering-wise, lots of complexity there, 4 roundabouts, pedestrian crossings in every one. So, the amount of work that has gone into prepping this project is, I wouldn't have understood it unless I was seeing it up close. So we know that there's that. We also know that we have to make critical investments in road safety. You'll see some of you are seeing the roundabout at 43 and 22. Again, long time coming, 5 years to get that roundabout built. We weren't sure it was going to be a roundabout. Again, we deferred to engineers. Some people said lights, some people said roundabouts, but there it is. So, road safety is key. Some of you had asked for the extension of the multi-use pathway on County Road 44 so that it went beyond Settlers Trail to Equinel, and we were successful through the great commitment of our community grants and Parks and Rec team in getting a very sizable grant to build out that expansion. So it's a wonderful development for North Granville. So there's that. We also have to make a critical investment in the expansion of our wastewater and sewage treatment plant. The tender is out already. This is a North Granville project exclusively, and it's coming, and it will cost. These are not cheap expansions, but if we are going to sustain our growth for the next 25 years, then absolutely, the plant I spoke about in the early 1990s is 30 years. It's time, and in fact, we can't really wait a minute longer, and I know Acting CEO Karen Dunlop is eagerly waiting for the results of that tender. Third is business support. So I have 7 quick items. We know that we need to support you as businesses. The Digital Service Squad, Digital Support Service Squad is an amazing, support that really emerged during the pandemic, and thankfully the province continues to contribute, and so do we. So we're thrilled. Our partnerships with the Chamber and the Old Town Kemptville BIA, huge. We know that we need to stay in conversation with our business community 24/7, not once a year, all the time, and those partnerships matter a lot to us. We also, this is number 4, want to leverage Kemptville campus, and we've done such good work already. It is the gem, as both Dermot O'Farrell and I like to say, just incredible potential there. We've already reintroduced apprenticeship programs, skilled trades. We host 3 school boards. We have a very active agroforestry center there. We've brought our campus greenhouses back to life, and we're about to see the establishment of community gardens. So much happening and so much to come. 5 of 7 is rural transit. We don't have rural transit in North Granville. It's a problem. We're not seeing the private sector, materialize for a variety of different reasons. So council this past fall approved, in theory, the adoption of an on-demand municipal-wide public transit program as of January 2024. We will get significant assistance through the federal and provincial gas tax dollars, and we just can't wait to see what comes of it. We've done extensive consultations with rural transit operators all over Ontario. I think we're poised to launch a service that people will use and that's cost effective and that allows us to take full advantage of the federal and provincial grants. Number 6 is rural growth. We need to make sure that we grow in a balanced way. The provincial policy statements and some of the work that's being done at the provincial level is enabling that growth, whether it's severances, whether it's creating better opportunity for industrial, for agricultural, for residential opportunity in rural areas. Up to now, the focus has been almost exclusively on urban intensification. North Granville is 2/3 rural. Amy says 75% rural. So to mistake our growth in North Granville as being exclusively urban is an error. We are growing throughout the municipality, but there have been real barriers to growth in rural areas. Some of those will be removed. So it's a new landscape, but I think it's an important one for a community like ours that really values rural as much as urban. And intensification is important in urban areas, but that rural growth and the capacity to forge some new opportunities when it comes to rural is key. And Sean Carnegie, who joined me in the mayor's office and who sits on our Economic Development Advisory Committee, gave me a really good take on what rural growth can look like from his perspective, and it's really riveting and very exciting to see where it's going to go. And then finally, to finish, and I know I'm way over time, I want to say that Council recognizes the urgent need for more service commercial lands in North Grenville. I will tell you the #1 barrier to more light industrial and commercial growth in many respects is a lack of service land. And we know as a council and as a senior management team that we've got to tackle that, because many manufacturing sectors are reshoring, as we know. There's a big trend to come back to North America. This is a highly competitive environment, and if we miss the boat, we miss it for decades to come. So we are very seriously talking about how to ensure that some of those commercial and light industrial players that are looking for a home, they're coming back home. How do we make sure they make our home here? So to conclude, I think a clear vision for sustainable, responsible, and balanced growth must be bold, and it must be strategic, and I assure you we are up to the challenge. Thank you.
Well, thank you. You're allowed to, you're the main event. I'm going to come down to the audience, and so is Tina, and you have an opportunity to ask the mayor some questions. Maybe municipal staff can hang on to their questions for another time. But participants will have some questions for you, Nancy. Do we have anyone on this side? Questions for Nancy? That was a lot to absorb.
I might have a question.
I bet you.
Your Worship? Just could you expand a little bit on 43 and some of the challenges that you may be encountering as it goes out to tender?
Yeah, we've navigated a lot of the challenges by virtue of the counties had to enter into land purchase agreements with up to 28 different commercial properties. The emphasis in terms of the County Road 43 expansion was not disrupting any residential homes. So the real focus was looking at where we could acquire property with the collaboration of the private sector. So I just signed off, I think, on 27 of 28 land purchase agreements. Without the land, the tender couldn't be issued. So some of you in this room, I know, were directly implicated or maybe aware of negotiations that took place. I have to credit my county colleagues. Everyone wanted to be fair, ensure market value for any lands that had to be acquired. But it took many months to just navigate the legalities of that process. That's almost done, so we expect the tender for the County Road 43 and bridge expansion to be issued in early June at this stage. It will likely come to County Council in mid to late July. Once and providing, cross our fingers, a tender is issued, then the work will begin. But quite frankly, we're not looking at any real construction until next year.
Back here. This is a little question. What is happening at the corner of Heard and 43? I thought it was a high school, but it looks like it's more than that. The land has been cleared.
Do you mean Pine Hill?
Sorry,
and
Somerville.
43?
Somerville and 43.
Yeah, it's a good question. Amy can help me out if need be. I understand those lands have been are owned by Urbandale. Is that correct? And have been for a number of years. Is that a fair statement? So, this is one of the things we have navigated as a council, and that is how do we properly anticipate growth that may be coming. During the pandemic, and even before the pandemic, there were many different developers that were looking at large tracts of land in North Grenville that they thought one day would be serviced, and they've been holding on to that land for many years. So what we know is that Urbandale owns, how many acres there, Amy? Do you remember? Is it? Okay, quite a large tract of land, and they're doing some preliminary clearing in anticipation of building residentially in the coming years. Council's not been presented with any rezoning applications. There's been no public meetings. And you may be surprised, often council gets these questions on social media, what's happening? And quite honestly, sometimes we truly don't know, because as a private landowner, you have a certain right to prep your property, to clear trees, to make certain plans well in advance of a rezoning. So as a consequence, the municipality isn't necessarily advised, council isn't advised. Up to this point, there's been no opportunity to limit, the modifications that some private landowners or developers in particular want to make to their land. So we learn about it as others do. So it's emblematic of, I think, what we're experiencing in North Grenville, which is a tremendous amount of residential growth. And the section of 43 in the Somerville area, as you know, is the focus of residential development for more than one developer. So that is an area of the community where we anticipate a lot of residential growth happening.
I think it's very exciting, all the growth that's going on in North Grenville. I love the development and the energy and all that biz going on. My question to you is, what are we doing to support the arts, the visual artists, the musicians, the poets, the architects? Like, you gave a great presentation, but there was no mention that this is a very creative community and that there are a lot of artists who live here on all aspects of the arts. Where is that in our plan for the future?
Yes, thank you, Geraldine. It's true. It was in here. I skipped over it, conscious of time. But certainly through our community grants program and our Municipal Advisory Committee on Arts and Culture, we're actually just about to launch an Arts and Culture Development Fund. You are right. It's one of the things I love about North Grenville, in part because it reminds me of Newfoundland, is there's such creativity and talent. And even, with our Busker Fest, we were able to partner with the NG Arts Guild and feature many different artists. I have some local paintings, as you know, courtesy of your assistance in my mayor's office. So, largely through community grants and through some creative, no pun intended, partnerships, we know that those investments are really necessary. We know that one of the areas where the artistic community is struggling is in terms of access to space. There are some preliminary investigations going into expanding some of our publicly owned facilities, including the Township Hall in Oxford Mills. That's a historic building and one that may in fact be well suited to featuring more artists. So we're looking at how we can better leverage some of our existing and underutilized facilities, some of which have great history here and really ooze creativity. So it's definitely on our radar.
So Secretary Lynn.
So I enjoy doing planners and keeping organized. What's your best planner? Do you enjoy digital planning, paper planning? How do you keep it all straight?
I live by a Google Calendar, and anyone who knows me knows if it's not in the Google Calendar, it probably isn't going to happen. So I have certainly availed of digital technology and a great staff team to keep me going. I'll be honest, the warden position is a very demanding position. It was the right time, I think, for the mayor of North Grenville to assume that role by virtue of what we have coming down the pipe. I was very blessed to have the opportunity to serve. Sometimes it's a competitive process and sometimes it's not. But it was Grenville's turn to have a warden from this area. So the day after I turned 50, I was unanimously acclaimed as the warden, and I'm very grateful for that opportunity. But it is very demanding. So it has added an extra layer of complexity to my life, but I get great support, and the clerk's office at the counties has been really, really amazing. And you know, really by being warden, it's given me a better opportunity to see some of the services that we really rely on throughout the counties, such as paramedics, such as childcare, Ontario Works, disability. You know, a lot of these things are delivered directly through the counties. Heavy reliance on the counties as a service provider. So it's, I'm in many more of those conversations, and you know, at the end of the day, I think that's value add, certainly for North Granville, but a complicated schedule if you ask anyone who's close to me. So I think, Richard, you might have had a question.
Excellent.
First of all, thanks very much for a great presentation, for all the work that you and council do. Thanks for the Chamber for putting this on. I was just wondering, the growth around Kemptville, where is it coming from? I'm guessing Ottawa, Toronto, some people are moving in, but I was also wondering what other areas would people be coming in from, new Canadians and or demographics, age groups, things like that. Are we tracking that?
Well, we have the Stats Canada data from 2021, so that census data has been very critical. My understanding is we still skew a little bit older, if I'm not mistaken, Amy. So demographically, we're a little bit heavier sort of on the seniors population, but we also saw during the pandemic a very large influx of families with young children. So those are sort of the two forces in Kemptville, if you will, that have been, I think, fundamental to the residential growth you're seeing. You know, certainly I don't think we get data on where people are relocating from, Amy, but anecdotally, you know, to your point, you know, we often, Toronto, Vancouver, certainly GTA, Ottawa, absolutely. It's been great to see some new Canadians relocating here as well. So it's been I would say a real mix. You know, what I've also noticed is that in some of our newer residential subdivisions, certainly urban, but also rural, a lot of existing residents want newer homes. So I've been actually quite surprised at how many people availed of that opportunity to move into an Equinel home or an Urbandale home, or even in Oxford Mills, where there's a smaller subdivision, the number of people who were local to North Grenville who wanted that opportunity to live in a newer home because it had more space or was more suitable, or you know, whatever the reason is. So it seems that we're fueling some of our own growth, but we're also clearly welcoming many, many new residents from, you know, many different parts of Ontario and beyond. But I don't think from a Stats Canada perspective, Amy, we've got that, you know, level of detail in terms of kind of point of origin. Okay.
So we have another question over here.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just curious, you were working very hard on the broadband file for a while, so I was wondering if you could update us on some of the progress.
Yes, thank you. And again, it was in my speech, but I glossed over it. Partly because, so we are, you know, waiting with bated breath for announcements. Both the federal government and the government of Ontario put historic amounts of money into rural broadband, into 5010. North Grenville certainly was a vocal proponent for that connectivity during the pandemic. Hilary Janot, who I recognized earlier tonight, and I have, you know, been really fueling the fire and making sure that we get our share. We, in fact, we're scheduled to have an important announcement about 3 different internet service providers that are coming to Kemptville to serve thousands of homes and bring us up to a minimum of 5010, and in some cases beyond. That announcement was scheduled for the day of the ice storm, and it was postponed. So we're currently working with the federal government, the Ministry of Rural Economic Development, Minister Goody Hutchings, who hails from Corner Brook, Newfoundland. We're hoping that she'll come out to Kemptville, or her representative, and formalize the announcement. So some of you may be seeing activity in various neighborhoods and subdivisions. What we know is it's not complete. There will be homes, neighborhoods that are left out. The idea was, I think, to connect 80% of rural residents in Ontario. It's not a perfect solution, but the investments through the internet service providers, they're being heavily subsidized to bring connectivity and broadband to rural Ontario. Is there. There was, in the last few months, something called the reverse auction process, where internet service providers, these are private for-profit providers, were invited to bid on certain areas of Ontario and map out what kind of connectivity they would offer in return for very significant subsidies. So that's what's been formalized, and we're waiting for the announcement very, very soon. So it's coming. It's coming. But I will say, in my conversations with Minister Steve Clark, we're well aware that it's not going to go the whole distance. Satellite is going to, in some cases, be a better alternative for some of you, and that may be the way you go. But the reality is, and you need to know this, like, a lot of our tax dollars is going to those subsidies for internet service providers. So it is important that we demand and expect a return on that investment. But I would say in the next 3 years, rural broadband will look very different in North Grenville than it has in the past.
Mayor Peckford, thank you. I represent Community Living North Grenville and people with developmental disabilities. And one of our challenges in the community is transportation. If you don't drive, you can't get around the community as we grow. You mentioned one of your pillars was transportation, and the council had passed some plans to have in place for January 2024. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we did a rural transit study a year and a half ago. And again, Hilary Janot and Karen Dunlop were quite involved from senior staff in basically looking at other models that have been undertaken in Ontario in particular that would serve a larger rural urban community. There were many different options, a fixed service in Kemptville, supplemented by some on-demand in rural parts. And there was some consideration given are we doing transit that would take people outside of the municipality of North Grenville? Are we keeping it local? Ultimately, from a fiscal perspective and a usership perspective, we thought the most practical way to proceed was to start with a municipal-wide on-demand service 7 days a week for a minimum of 8 to 12 hours. That would allow youth, seniors, those with disabilities, and professionals who may need to get to work, understanding many professionals in North Grenville and workers, employees, are going outside of the community. But we thought we'd start with seeing how we could serve our local community through a municipal-wide on-demand service. Many people ask, well, how is this going to work? How can you do this? How can you serve 18,000 people? So what we've learned from other services, and Hilary, if I'm missing anything, let me know, is that technology matters a lot. So really the app or the way that people will call for a ride will become fundamental to the efficiency and timeliness of the service. If you have someone in Bishop's Mills, Oxford Mills, Oxford Station, all of whom are asking, or requesting a ride to parts of Kemptville or maybe South Gore Drive or somewhere in between, that data will be aggregated. So that rural bus will be sent to that corner to serve those requests. So the aggregation of the data, the technology is such that I think the service level we're hoping for is that you would have a ride after your request was made within 45 minutes. Is that correct, Hilary? That's the service level being anticipated. We will be putting out a tender for this particular service within the next couple of weeks. And it really is up to the private sector across Eastern Ontario to bid and present to us their model that would allow us to meet those service needs that we're talking about. again, I think for council, initially, this prospect was daunting from a financial perspective, but what we know is when any municipality in Ontario, if you opt into starting to provide public transit, gas tax at both the federal and provincial level provides a very significant offset. So we don't bear the burden as taxpayers for the full cost of the service. There's been an extreme emphasis in recent years on supporting transit services in smaller communities, and believe it or not, the on-demand model is the one that is now widely accepted as being the most valuable and the most cost-effective if you can use technology that allows you to aggregate data and pick up points so that you're optimizing, the 2 or 3 small buses that we would have on the road. So that's I think what we're hoping for. That we are, I think, locking into 2 or 3 years, right, as a initial test run. We have to give it more than a year. We have to build it. But the idea is that as we understand user patterns, we can modify the service to maximize where it's needed most. And anyone who needs accessible transit will be able to bring a caregiver with them for a ride free of charge. It will be a feed service, but I think the fee anticipated is less than $10 a ride. Is that right? $5 a ride. So there you go.
Thank you, Mayor. I think we have one more question, or time for one more question.
Hi, Nancy. I may be in a minority here, but I'm saddened to see all the trees that are being cut down in Kentville for the developers, and you had stated that some of this land has been bought previous. I'm thinking of the land across from BMR that was, nice trees, and now there's not a tree in sight. Maybe that was bought previously, I don't know, but now I see the sold sign at Pine Hill and 43. So that obviously wasn't bought before, so there's another 4 point some odd acres of trees that are going to be gone. My husband and I moved here 9 years ago for the small town feel, and I think we're losing it with all the development now. Like I say, I may be in the minority, but it's sad to see all the trees going down, and everybody says we're becoming another Barrhaven, and I kind of agree with that. Over time it will be.
Yeah, I think it's the risk in North Grenville. We don't want to be a Barrhaven. Nobody wants to be a Barrhaven. Barrhaven's a great community. Lots going on in Barrhaven. But obviously, we hear a lot about trees. It's why the protection of our publicly managed forests is critical, right? That's really key. But, if Councillor Debbie Wilson was here, she would talk about the change she saw, when Colonnade went up or when Equinel was built. So this community is changing, and believe me, with 3 kids, all of whom hear about climate change and the importance of trees, we all get those questions. We did look at a tree canopy bylaw that potentially could be established for urban Kentville, and that's certainly still on the radar. We looked at some other bylaws that would help to sort of better control when trees are cut down. But quite frankly, I'm speaking to a business-oriented audience. As a private property owner, the reality is you have certain rights to, alter your property. And it's not always, what we necessarily expected or necessarily want in the short term. But it's, part of, I think, where North Grenville is in terms of a high-growth community. And when I was elected, that's, I think we had to accept, even as a council that was deeply committed to sustainable growth, that the growth is high. And certainly you're right, the Pine Hill area that you're speaking of was purchased during the pandemic. We recently had a public planning meeting. There's a whole seniors complex, more than one, expected a seniors care facility that will be state-of-the-art, 100 rental units in a multi-residential building, as well as some other independent living units. for seniors. So that's the vision. And there's a similar development in Perth that's been widely embraced. But no doubt, with those new opportunities comes loss. And I don't think we can shy away from it, and I don't think we can sugarcoat it. It is what it is. But it's part of what North Grenville is right now. And I think, as a council and as a senior management team, we have to do our absolute best to be vigilant, to be clear that affordable housing targets are part of what we need to see with every residential development. But, maybe to finish where I ended at the podium, we need balanced growth. 90% of our growth is residential. And, without seizing the opportunity with some of our other employment lands or light industrial lands, with some of the rural growth that many are eager to see, we won't have that balance. So I think that's the challenge for council over the next few years, and the launch of our economic development strategy, I think, is really key, because I've come to realize in this position, if you're not clear about your vision, you're not getting there. You're not getting it. And what North Grenville, the blessing and curse in North Grenville was residential growth came to us. Once we had that service land, it came to us. We didn't have to ask for it, it came. So, and that's been the tsunami that we've been experiencing for many years, and that growth has fueled a lot of local businesses. It's sustained them, and it's allowed them to grow and expand, and that's wonderful news, and this is a wonderful community. But it's got to be balanced, and I think we can get there. But landing that vision is certainly fundamental, I think, to a positive future. So I'd invite all of you, once we've released the plan, to share your thoughts with us if you haven't already, and we'll be having many, many discussions in the coming months and years about how we do growth the North Grenville way.
Thank you. We really appreciate your presentation this evening and joining us for the night. So we are not quite done yet. I am going to invite the chairperson of the North Grenville Chamber of Commerce to come up to the stage, Karen. Karen Quigley is going to be presenting some certificates this evening. So that is the next part of our presentation, is the certificates of recognition for some of our longtime chamber members. So we have a few to present tonight. Come on up on the stage, Karen. So I'm going to now put my glasses on so I can actually read. So the first, they will not be in attendance this evening, unfortunately. So Graham's Bakery. We want to congratulate Graham's Bakery for being in business for 138 years. Wow. So they are the home of the Heritage wood-burning oven in Kemptville. The oven gained iconic status during the 1998 ice storm when, which most of us probably lived through, maybe some did not, but anyway, the power went out for days. The oven was pressed into service to cook dozens of turkeys and other food for much of the community. Rick, along with his sister, Councillor Debbie, have been operating the bakery since 2005 when their father, Ken, a second-generation baker, passed away. Graham's is a tourist destination in Kemptville. Breads and buns baked daily like butter tarts and cinnamon buns and stones. I'm hungry, I didn't eat dinner. Mincemeat tarts and cookies. Oh my goodness. Established in 1885, Graham's Bakery is a pillar of North Grenville. Not only are they feeding locals and supplying nearby establishments, they also are a tourism draw and big supporters of the community. So thanks for choosing to be a part of the Chamber family.
Rick said he was in bed at 7, which is why he couldn't come in.
Rick, in bed at 7 because he's baking in the morning. Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So Rick sends his regrets, as does Deb. We heard earlier that she's off playing hockey for the over 60 women's Eastern Ontario. So she did send a note, so I'll do my best, Deb. I can't do a Deb impression. It's the only I could maybe. Sorry.
You don't, that's good. You don't have enough hair.
No. Thank you to the North Grenville Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event. We at Graham's Bakery are honored to receive the recognition of being a business in the community under the Graham name for 63 years. A member of the Graham family has been there since 1939. Rick's son Wesley is the 4th generation to be working in the bakery. Our family tradition continues. Beautiful. I'd like to invite Jim up from Kemptville Windows and Doors. There. Jim and his family have lived in Kemptville for over 40 years. Jim's been in the business for 33, and he got involved with the business because he thought it would be a growing business with all the changes happening in Kemptville over the years. He chose to join the chamber to connect with different businesses in the community, as well as to provide service to new families coming to the area. Some of the services that they manage are window supply and installation. As the window covering guy, I can say top notch. I always have a good time measuring their windows after installation, true and square, and an excellent job. Also supplying kitchen, installation, doors, vanity, countertops, granite, and quartz. To learn more about Kemptville Windows and Kitchens, they can be found on our chamber website. Thank you, Jim.
So congratulations. No. We're going to get a picture.
They're going to take a quick picture of you, Jim.
Come in the middle. Yeah, you're the center of attraction.
We'll scrunch over. Congratulations, Jim. There we go.
So, thank you.
Thank you. I'll find it.
Okay. So the next we have Johnson's Independent Grocer. So I'd like to welcome up Steve and Sylvie. Where are they? Oh. So I don't have anything profound to say about you because they didn't give me a script, but I guess you're going to talk. All right, come on up. No, we have a microphone for you up here.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Had I known the option better, you could have spoke for me.
I
Your
could
Worship,
read it.
No, it's fine. Your Worship, members of council, members of the Chamber of Commerce, friends, family, it is with great pride and honor we accept this recognition. 35 years of service in this community of Kemptville. I would like to take the opportunity to express my gratitude to you, my customers, my friends, especially my family, my son, Spencer, my beautiful wife, Sylvie. It's been a 35-year journey. We've occupied our lives with the passion and enthusiasm and joy. The people of this community opened their hearts and arms to Sylvie and myself. Our accomplishments could not have been as success as they were without joining the Chamber of Commerce. It's been a great part of our business. The decision made back in 1988 when we started to join the association gave us a network to meet new businesses, meet new people as they develop their new businesses, and also grow in this community. Everywhere I go, I feel honored and proud to say I'm from Kemptville. I've spent most of my life here. There is no place I'd rather live. In that, once again, I thank you for the recognition. Johnson's Independent Grocer, we're here to stay and continue to grow and serve North Grenville. Thanks very much.
We'll do a picture.
Good.
I'll go to the back.
Saying we're a little wide.
We're good?
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. No. And we have one more business that we would like to recognize this evening. So if I could call up Dermot O'Farrell from O'Farrell Financial. Are you? And Donald, yeah, are you both coming up? I wasn't sure. So anyway, they have been in attendance, They're in attendance this evening. They have been in business for 26 years. So we want to let you say something as well. Congratulations. Oh, do you have it?
Well, I'll hand, I should have handed it. Thanks very much. Thank you. And the real prize. Thank you. Good evening to the volunteers in the community, to the Chamber of Commerce, who have played such a big role in our business, to all the municipal staff who have done an excellent job in the growth of the community, and last but not least, the council, because I think this is the most, like all the councils are good, but this is probably the absolute right council for the right time. So I just can't say enough. I've had the opportunity to work closely with the mayor and council on a few initiatives, particularly the campus, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. And so it's been a real pleasure, and we're blessed to have you in the community, all of you. So thank you. Donnelly and I started the business 26 years ago out of our basement. It's an old story. We've told it a few times. Some of you in the room may know us. And we have 5 locations now. There's somewhere upwards of 45 staff. And we did it by being involved in a lot of different things in the community. And one right off the bat was the Chamber. So I sat on the board many, many years ago when Wendy Chapman was the chair of the Chamber. And it was interesting at that time, and I'm sure it's still interesting now, and I know you put a lot of effort into straightening the Chamber around, or growing the Chamber, and taking up a nice place of residence right here. So congratulations to everyone that's working on that. Sports Club Slavic, I've been there 3 times now. I want to thank you for being on the hospital board too. I sat on the board and on the foundation, and it's great work. And so to all the volunteers, I just can't say enough. Our business is here because of all of you, and mostly because I worked with this lady for the last 26 years. I can't say enough about my lovely wife, who retired about a year ago. I'm still semi-active. I still manage it. But we have a succession plan, so the business is going to be here a long time, we hope. We were approached by an outside company to purchase our business a number of years ago. And because of this community, and because of our clients, and because of the great staff that we have, we decided to create our own succession plan. And we did that. It took a long time. It was a lot of work, but it's allowed Donnelly and I to have the start of a very nice retirement. So we're blessed. We're blessed to be in this community. We just love it here. So just can't say enough to all of you out there who give your time. The mayor mentioned the IPM, and to see the 1,000 volunteers plus come together in this community and make such a big impact on our community and the province was a sight to behold. So that was a really enriching experience. So the community is really, really important. And I think, Donnelly, you're going to say a couple words, and then I'm going to plug the campus.
If we let you have the mic back.
Yes.
If he wants to keep talking. I just want to say that we are hosting St. Michael's pre-prom tomorrow at our home. And as we reflect on our children graduating at St. Michael's, we go back 10 years or more, I recall the teacher, the principal saying, be proud of where you come from. Tell them out there when you go out into the world that you're from Kemptville, North Grenville. Be proud of that. And we are. And I just wanted to share that with you because it's end of school year, and we are very proud to have made North Grenville, Kemptville our home and build our business here. Thank you.
Now, this is about a minute long at the most. I sit as chair of the campus. It's the biggest asset that this community has for the community. We have lots of assets, water treatment plant, rinks, all of that. But for the community, and to answer your question about trees,
which I'm dear to also, that campus is ours. That's 626 acres that our council had the foresight to work with the province to obtain. It is ours. There's a marvelous MOU that's in play. That's a memorandum of understanding between the municipality and the not-for-profit board that we are. There's a master plan that's second to none that takes a kind of a 10,000-foot look at the campus, and we have a very strong board. Speaking of arts, Annie Hillis sits on the board, and Annie is really big into the arts, and we hope to someday have a space for the arts on that campus. So something we may be doing is calling on all these volunteers who want to come out and work in gardens to help keep the beautification of that campus up. So we know the first impressions are lasting and that campus is beautiful. And so we may be calling on you. If you're not coming out to work because you're raising kids or it's not your thing, please come out and enjoy the campus. There's so much to see and do on the campus. You only have to check the website of the municipality and or the campus to find that out. 626 acres, and we're not taking one tree down unless it's rotten or the arborists tell us to. So you can guarantee that. We are a break even. We are a small profit center already, not including the millions of dollars that's got to go into upgrading the facilities, but we're working on that. There's a great board and a great team and great committee. So shout out to the biggest asset we have, the Kemptville campus. Here, here. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, wait a minute, we forgot pictures. Sorry. Okay, you're getting in the back. Thank you. All right.
Can I wrap it up there?
So that brings us pretty much to the end of our event. We do want to just make sure we send our thanks out to the Flower Shop for the lovely centerpieces that you'll find on all of your tables, and also to Catered Affairs for the lovely spread that they put on this evening. So I hope you all enjoyed it, that you ate. And we just want to thank the municipality of North Grenville for helping us host this event. They do a lot of the legwork, and we, financially help us with this. So we would not be doing this if it weren't for them. And I want to thank Terry Lynn, our executive director, for all of the hard work that she has put in to making this event a success. And so the only other thing that we wanted to say, I'm not going to do that little roundabout thingy. We'll just give away the flowers. So the centerpiece is on your tables. What we want you to do is to talk amongst yourself, and whoever is at the table that's been in business the longest gets to take it home. So you have to figure that out and talk. Have a great evening. Thank you for being here.
Nice. Well done.
Okay, well, I'm so sorry we didn't have more conversation. Maybe if I sat in the chair, you would have